Hi.
Welcome to Awkward Conversations. We're going to talk today about what I didn't know about you when I married you, and vice versa.
If I want to.
If you want to. I have quite the list.
Awesome.
Yeah. It was a more intriguing topic than I thought it might be. And I think could be awkward. You know, I mean, the concept of you get married, we knew each other better, I would say, than a lot of people do when they get married, because we'd had the privilege of like traveling together and traveling internationally, even with groups and so forth.
We had dated a long time.
We had dated a good while, but we were young.
Mm-hmm.
So,
which for me is the big catch.
Yeah, well, I think for both of us.
Why I didn't know you is because we were young, not because we hadn't dated long enough, not because we knew each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
Probably more was the fact that I didn't know myself.
Which we talked about some last episode. So I think, and we can, I don't want to put you in a spot. There's something you don't want to talk about, then just say so. But
no, I was saying you can say all the things you didn't know about me, but I may or may not say all the things I didn't know about you.
Well, there will probably be naturally some that comes out.
Yeah.
Because we're 37 years, approaching 38 years of adventure into this. So one of the things that we bumped into, again, just the other day. So we're almost 38 years into marriage, let alone the, 4 years before that of
3
friendship and dating and so forth. Mm-hmm. The understanding of what it meant and how it had affected you, maybe I should say, growing up Mennonite. Mm-hmm. I had no frame of reference for what that meant. Now, being around her family a bit in that dating friendship phase, but also then after we got married in those early years, I started learning what Mennonites were. Mm-hmm. But then the learning how it affected you, the mindset you carried and so forth, that I've discovered were totally foreign to me. And and we're still bumping into some of that.
Of course. And the interesting thing is, I was unaware because I would have communicated.
Isn't that intriguing? Yeah.
But I didn't realize how many thoughts I had that were Mennonite thoughts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe this that we're unpacking here isn't awkward for you, but for us, it's certainly created, I think awkward's a fair word, certainly troublesome, difficult connections, difficult points and moments, whatever, because, and you're probably pretty, I don't know if self-aware would be the common term now. You're much, much, much more aware now. You said you didn't even know yourself. You're much, much more aware now, but I suppose you are even still discovering what all that meant for you and how that plays out.
Well, I think there's things that probably still have affected me that I don't know.
Right.
I mean, I do work on being self-aware and knowing, but yeah.
So consequently, I don't know if you were going to say this or not, but I think I carried some of the same thing, right? In that I brought things into this marriage that you probably were like, oh, I had no idea that he had this view of this is how life is and how it works.
And I would say, so it's not just a Mennonite thing.
No.
Because I came from a super strict religious background. It's not just that. Like, no matter the background we come from, we have these ideas that are like, this is how things should be. This is how we live.
Right.
And you definitely had things that I should have seen, I should have known, but I didn't.
I think one that seems a bit trivial, but it's certainly been significant, is our view of Saturdays.
And I was going to say it's not trivial.
We bumped into this one just the other day again.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so like, what? This is what we do on a Saturday?
So, and a lot of you are going to find this probably odd, but for me, all my upbringing, and understand I married her while I was still upbringing.
Yes.
I was only 20.
Yeah.
You were 19 when we got married.
Better than 14.
Better than 14. But for me, there was this, of the 7 days, 6 of them were work days. And when I say work days, 12-hour days were not uncommon. So not only work days intense work days. You didn't have time. I remember you should have noticed this.
I should have.
Because there was one summer, now I don't even know that we would have even been dating yet, but we were certainly very good friends. And maybe
we started dating my sophomore year, so.
So there was a summer that I disappeared.
Sure.
School was out and summer's really the time you're working 6 days a week, 12-hour days easily. You started at 6 and you worked until 6. Often you'd work till 6 and then you'd go back out to change the water. Well, there'd be water to change. Sometimes
at 10
or in the middle of the night. Sometimes
2, whatever it was.
So when we got married, and I think this is why it's important to have a dialogue and people, participate in this, is it was awkward because how did you view a Saturday? For me, it was another work day. So 6 o'clock, I'm up, out and working. Come in dead tired, dirty, need a shower, need some food, need to go to bed.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So what are you doing then? You're sitting there as a new married woman on a Saturday going, what were you expecting?
I was not expecting to spend the day by myself. I was not expecting to spend the day working. Like, my household, while super strict religiously, but our evenings and our weekends were very relaxed. Like, we would sleep in the morning. I remember my sister and I would get up. When we finally had a TV, we would get up and watch Bugs Bunny cartoons and the Three Stooges, whichever one happened to be on, because you know how it was. If you're past the age of 30, you know how it was. You weren't choosing.
You watched what was on.
Whatever was on, we would sit and watch cartoons, or we would watch Three Stooges. And then, Mom and Dad would be up and make pancakes, make breakfast, like 10 a.m. And then we would dink around for a little while. Afternoon, we'd decide what we're going to go do. Probably go to the mall, might go to,
totally foreign.
shops.
Like, what?
We might decide we're going to play games. And that evening, we're going to rent a blockbuster movie. Again, this was when I was older, when we could do that legally, spiritually. We would rent, a movie, have pizza. Like, Saturday was a day of rest. It was so lovely, And so we get married, and in my mind, we should be together as a family. And that's not happening.
Yeah.
So, part of I want to say part of our independence, you put in me.
Oh, now that is an insightful thing happening on camera. I'd never thought of that. That was one of the things that was on my list. Is I did not know how fiercely independent you are. Now I'm realizing maybe she wasn't, and part of that was I could see that.
Yeah.
That's not. I can see that.
Yeah. It's not like as a kid
mind blown. Seriously, I'm going to consider that. That's interesting.
It's not like as a kid I always wanted to be around people.
Yeah.
But I kind of always was, and that was the way it was. I did always have my quiet time, like read my Bible, do some journaling.
Right.
That was always something that I would do. But that was my alone time. Other than that, I was with my family, like it or not. There were plenty of times I didn't like it, but still, that was
now. See, I would have assumed, if you don't want to get into this, if this is too much, that's fine. But I would have assumed that you did have an element growing up. I'm trying to figure out how to say this. And I would have thought you kind of felt like you had.
I love watching him trying to figure out how he's going to say it.
Think through it
because he's so busy being diplomatic. And I just think that's funny because I'm like, just say it. It's
you didn't feel cared for. You felt like if nobody's got my back, so I need to have my own back. And so because you grew up with some of that, that I would have thought also played a part in the independence. You never felt so like early on, you never felt needy to me, right?
You said early on. Has that changed?
Oh no! It's just that we were talking about some of that early on.
Okay.
You were not a needy. Now here I am thinking again because I'm going, are you needy now? No, what I was saying is that early on, we're figuring out, you're discovering, this dude's not around on Saturdays. Because I was going to point out that even though once we got married, I was not farming anymore. And I typically did not have jobs that I had to work on Saturday.
Right.
So
but
then
you were still out.
Well, right, because I was building our house and I was mowing our lawn and I was doing. I mean, I found work. I created work.
Exactly.
It was a day to work, so I went and worked.
Yeah, because you've been raised that way.
But that was me doing that.
So even though we weren't farming, you would just get up and would default
I would go to work
to what you grew up doing, which is go to work.
Yeah.
It wasn't like you had to.
That really did stir independence in you.
Yeah, I had to. Do you remember the hole in the wall?
Well, that was an interesting one because you don't let me flavor this, but you put a hole in the wall because you were so mad over something. It was kind of interesting though because I didn't even know it happened or know that there was a hole in the wall until you pointed it out sometime later. I mean, so it didn't leave me with an emotional impact because I didn't know it happened, and then it was later that.
But when I told you about it, did it not affect you?
It affected me in that I felt bad because, again, it something I did not know about you growing up, or when we got married, was that you wanted those moments, those Saturdays, it's still
time together. What?
Right.
You want to have time because we're married? You want to connect with each other? You want to have time together?
I suppose
it's so bizarre to me.
I suppose it impacted me in that I realized it was an area I was not providing for you, right? So that impact, but that was not.
It didn't enough to make a change.
No, apparently not.
Yeah, yeah.
Partly, and again, some of these changes, like you might be confronted with. Oh, wait, okay, so my wife. First of all, but then I started recognizing the greater world did not view Saturdays as a work day, right?
Yeah.
It's pretty common in our culture to see a 2-day weekend.
Yeah.
Sometimes 3 days. I still have a hard time seeing it as a 2-day weekend to this day.
Yeah.
Sunday is your day.
Yeah.
And you're so worn out at that point. So I was starting to recognize the fallacies in some of that. I feel like this awkward conversation is getting more awkward because I feel like it's a therapy session for Seth. No. So, you've done things, pointed out things over the years that left a really emotional impact that were extremely difficult for those reasons. In this case, that was not. But you're right. It also didn't leave enough impact. But sometimes I think I don't change things because I don't know what to change. And then it comes back to that independence thing of if you don't know, then what do? You seek out advice and help and so forth. I was raised in a culture where you figure it out. You pull yourself up by your bootstraps and go for it. Was my mentality,
which is interesting because it
didn't seek out the change.
In that mentality, it doesn't get figured out. The patterns just continue.
Or if it does get figured out, it's very slow.
It's very slow or damaging. It might get figured out by somebody being like, well, screw it, I'm out.
Potentially. Yeah, potentially. Yeah. And I don't know, if you're watching this, I think, there's nobody, particularly no married couple, that doesn't have these things, that doesn't understand that family of origin. I mean, okay, let's lighten the mood just a little bit here with just some fun things. Like when I married her, and it fits with all this because when I married her, I didn't realize that she virtually had very, very little, if any, domestic skills. She didn't really know how to cook or do laundry.
With Mennonite background, I should have been really trained in that, but my mom knew what it was like, and she didn't want to make us girls work every day, all day.
Right.
And so there were a lot of things that she didn't teach us in order to bless us, make our lives better. So then when so it's funny because even though I have that Mennonite background, I should have known how to make pies, bread, all the foods I should have known, but yeah.
But see, that's one area you and I were able to take and have some fun with.
Yeah.
Because I did grow up cooking for whatever reason. I think it was just something I always enjoyed.
Yeah.
I don't remember anybody making me learn how to cook. I just enjoyed it. So I knew how to. People talk about, well, I can cook, but I can't bake. I'm like, what? what are you talking about? You can do both. You can read, can't you? I mean, because I would bake bread. Remember my cinnamon rolls? They were legendary. I don't make them anymore because they're high carb, but they were good, right?
Yeah.
You know, and so we had a lot of fun. I haven't told it as much recently, I guess, but I used to say that in the first 10 years of our marriage, I was teaching her how to cook, and we had a moment I'll never forget, sitting down to a meal that she had prepared and looking at her and going, you have surpassed me, because it was so good. She is a master at flavors and spicing and making things special in that way beyond me. But we had fun. We took that thing. Yeah. Now the not knowing how to do laundry, on the other hand, there was some point we made the decision, why don't you do your own laundry and I'll do my laundry. I think I had destroyed enough of her clothes, shrunk them, just colored them. That was a big thing back in the day, not so much anymore. Then, but again, that was not traumatic. We figured it out.
Yeah.
But the Saturday thing, we never have figured out. How to be, I think about even just being a good friend. I don't have friends that I like, hey, let's go, I saw this event, let's go do this or that. I don't do that with anybody. Mm-hmm. So that's an area that is a tension between us yet that goes back to, I did not know about you when you got married, that you were looking for 2 days of fun and 7 nights a week of fun. And I'm like, what is that? How does that happen? How do you pay for that? My mind reels with how do you find those things? It's still a point of trauma for me.
But I think it's not so much I'm looking for 7 nights of fun and 2 days of fun.
I was being exaggerating on purpose.
Yeah, okay, because I do think
that's exaggeration.
7 nights of together, 2 days together, with some give and take, right? Like, obviously we're going to go to grandkids things together. We're going to go, there's going to be things that we go do together for fun. And there's going to be things that we go do individually, me go play games with a friend because you don't care for games so much. So, there's those nights, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I was exaggerating on purpose, but I think, this is part of the beauty, I suppose. It doesn't always feel beautiful, but this is part of the beauty of melding lives. Yeah. Right? And creating something that lasts the long haul. There's a lot of people give up because they bump into these things. Yeah. And you've been tempted. Yeah. I can't say that I haven't either, but I've also not been paying as much attention even to get to the point.
You're too busy working to think about doing anything drastic.
So I'm not throwing you under the bus there as much as saying I'm less aware. Yeah. Of my own stuff even. I think, and you started to say something. Did you want to finish a thought there? Okay.
I don't have any.
I also think along with this, and they kind of tie together, is just the emotional awareness surprised me early on. Yeah. How emotionally connected you were. Because I was so not emotionally connected. Yeah. So that was surprising, and I didn't know what to do with. And now, don't get me wrong here. I'm not saying, some people say, "Oh, my wife is just so emotional." What they mean is she's
a roller coaster.
Well, right, and just a mess and a pain and horrible to be around, and she's moody and she's, I'm not saying that. I'm saying it still shocks me. I can ask her, "How do you feel about," and finish that sentence about whatever, and she could tell me. I mean, rarely do you need more than a minute or two to know how you feel about something. Yeah. I'm better, but I still sometimes need a day or two to even figure it out. Yeah. Yeah. That was something I saw in us, pretty early on. Yeah. Yeah.
And even that we've learned because of tools that we have found.
Oh yeah, I think
that have been really helpful.
Yeah. I think it's a mistake to ever think that you can't learn and grow. But I also think, I say this not wanting it to be an excuse, but there are going to be those things that are just more of a challenge, I think. Yeah, it's more of a challenge, but it doesn't mean you can't change it. Right. I mean, because there are things that affect our life that are on me. Now this would be true on you too. Sorry, I'm getting a little emotional about this because I'm thinking I don't like that there are things that I have difficulty changing. That because I see value in and I respect and I honor growth and change. And so when you bump into something that you're like, that's difficult, why can't I just change that? And you can't seem to, for whatever reasons, and they might be legit, they might not be legit.
Yeah.
But at some point, it's like, dang, I don't understand why that is that way. You know
I do think that is the benefit of seeking out help, because others can always help give you like tools and things to use, and
because perspective can be huge.
I see my own, like there are things that I'm looking forward to and connecting with somebody soon. I just need one perspective, but two, do you have tools to help me change this? Because I obviously am not succeeding at changing it just with the tools I currently have.
Gotcha.
It doesn't make me a failure.
No.
It doesn't make me wrong. It just means I'm just either needing perspective or I'm needing actual different tools than what I currently have. It's like going to Lowe's. Oh, I need this tool. If I'm going to do this thing, I need this tool. And sometimes you don't know what tool you need. So you have to find help, YouTube videos, to figure out what tools you need. And then you have to go get those tools. And it's very much like that, I think, which is what we're needing to do is figure out what tools do I need and how do I acquire those tools. Right. And it's harder when it's not a tangible tool, where it's something that's
it's
like
more
vague.
Obscure or vague. And I would even say in your practical example there are, this is so interesting to hear you unpack it that way, because there are tools I'm just better at using than others. And is that because I've used the one that I'm good at, I've used it more, whatever, it could be that. But I just think, again, no excuses in this, but sometimes we just have a dexterity or whatever for something that is just more natural and therefore just easier.
But I think I think we can wrap up with this idea. I think the beauty of even that, saying, I'm not great at sanding. I'm great at putting the wood together. Somebody else can come sand it, right? Even in that, I think what makes that beautiful in that analogy is in our relationships, I think one of the biggest problems people have in marriages is they expect their spouse to be good at everything. They expect them to fulfill every need they have. So I need this built and then sanded and then stained and then varnished and then, I need the whole thing done. Well, maybe your spouse isn't meant to do all of that. Now, obviously, within the marriage bedroom, there are things that your spouse is meant to do. But I also think it's not fair for me to expect him to love to play games because he needs to grow in that area. That's okay. That's minimal. I can find somebody else who wants to play games. Not to mention, ultimately, my fulfillment should be God first. And then giving him the grace to be who he is, fulfill, and use the tools he does have and can. And then also asking God to help those areas that I feel like are not being fulfilled, either leaning on God to fulfill, or if I actually need another human to fulfill, having a friend who will help fulfill that role. And so I just think it's really important that we do everything we can, find all the tools we can, use everything we can, not make excuses of, well, it's just not who I am. That one is one of the worst. It's how I'm built. It's not who I am. That's one of the worst. But if we are doing everything we can within reason, not driving ourselves crazy, not being ridiculous, then I think there's, that element. Anyway, I think that's good. The value of
I agree.
Recognizing there are things my spouse can give, things my spouse can't give, and I have to have grace for them because I want grace. In my failings, I want grace too. So
it's really good. I mean, I hope this has been helpful. I mean, it's been a couple of insights for me, even in this conversation. I hope it's helpful. I hope you'll dig in and continue to learn and grow and stay committed to that marriage relationship and push in.
Yeah. Yep. It's, if you want the good old love that comes when you're 80s, if you want that, you can't.
You can't give up. You can't quit.
5 years, 10 years. Like,
Nope.
you can't. You've got to press.
You gotta press in. Press into the good stuff. All right. Well,
okay.
There you go. That was good.
See you next time.
We'll talk to you next time. Hey, would you do this for us? Would you ring that bell? Would you like? Would you subscribe? We really enjoy putting this content together. We want more and more people to be able to find it. Thanks for helping us.